What a beautiful room of people. So thank you again for joining us in our Cosentino of Manhattan, and we're going to have a great program here. So who are here on stage with me? Do we need to introduce fashion icon Cindy Crawford? No, but let's give her applause. And super cool dress guy that's going to make us all look bad here. It's Whitney Robinson, who is actually the new editor-in-chief for Elle Decor. Wonderful publications. You're also a top. He's a top in this industry. And a wonderful, wonderful person. He's very fun. But we need another top to start this beautiful night ahead. And I'd like to introduce you to Eduardo Cosentino. He's our Executive Vice President of Global Sales for Cosentino and our CEO of Cosentino on North America. He's our host.
Thank you, Massimo. Good evening, everyone. And it's a real pleasure to be with all of you tonight. I was thinking that it will be easy to introduce Cindy tonight because this is my second time with her. But introduce one of the most beautiful women in the world is not an easy job. We are very close to the Fashion Week. I know that Cindy and Whitney, they are coming from Europe now. They were in Paris, in Milan. And this is no accident. And it's no accident that we're celebrating this event during this week, because we really believe that the Cosentino brand is very next to the fashion industry, more than the song industry. And for that reason, we are celebrating this event this week. 1 year ago, we were working to develop the new campaigns for Saleston that we call Tops on Top. And we were thinking, hey, who is the icon in the fashion industry in the whole history? And for us, it's no doubt that Cindy was the right person, and for that reason, we chose her for this wonderful campaign. Tonight, we are celebrating a partnership not only with Cindy, we are celebrating a partnership with our dear friends from Hertz design group, who were very close with us to organize this wonderful event tonight. And we are very pleased to be part of this wonderful magazine, because we think that they really represent the best of design, the best trend, and what is coming for in the next future. And with that, I want to give the introduction to Whitney. Thank you for being with us tonight. And now it's time to talk about top design. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eduardo. We're game. I'm game if you are. I've actually seen Cindy from afar and from up close for the last 2.5 weeks. You just did the whole circuit of fashion weeks in Milan and in Paris with both your daughter, Kaya, who made her Fashion Week debut, and also you were in a show that got quite a great, amazing reception. Tell me, what was it like to have Kaya walk in her first shows?
My introduction could have just been Kaya Gerber's mom. That's kind of what I feel like this last couple weeks. She just turned 16, but she's been wanting, she's been around fashion and modeling, coming to shoots with me and whatever since she was born. So, I remember like 2 years ago, she started getting invited to go sit at shows. And of course, any 14-year-old girl is like, I want to go sit that show. And I was like, do you want to be the girl that sits the show, or do you want to be the girl that does the show? And I said, if you just wait, you can't do shows till you're 16. There actually are rules in fashion, believe it or not, that you have to be 16. I said, just wait. Your time will come. You're too young. And then, all of a sudden, she was 16, and I was like, I should have said 18. Well, darn it. But she turned 16, and we left for New York, the next day after she got her driver's license. And it just was amazing. I mean, she's wanted it. I can't say she's been working her whole life for this because she's just 16, but she's very clear. She loves fashion. She loves design. She's very specific about how to decorate her bedroom. She knows every designer. Oh, he used to be there, but then he went there. And, she knows everything more than I did when I started, because I was like from a small town in Illinois and we didn't have the internet or Instagram. So I didn't know anything. But so she loves it. And I was proud of her. I'm proud of her regardless, but I just was excited for her. And I think she's been handling it really well. And she brought it, like we talked about, like her little, like she walked out at Alexander Wang like she owned that runway. So yeah, so it's been exciting for her.
Did she practice with you? Did you help her get ready? Because I saw you we were staying at the same hotel in Milan, and I saw. You're right. You're totally. And I saw you guys walk in, and you really are so protective of her. You make sure that she's. I mean, it seems like you're her mom. You're a model. You're her mom, and that I think is something that you don't always see with every. There's a lot of 16-year-olds in the business too, and I think you don't always see that kind of protection and making sure that they're looked after, and as well as you have been doing it.
Well, definitely, I feel like I can be a good guide to her, because obviously I've lived in that world for many years. And she also will listen to me, surprisingly, when it comes to fat. It's like most 16-year-olds are like, what do you know, Mom? But then she's like, oh, yeah, you do know. Okay. So she will listen to me. It's the only advice I gave her about walking. I mean, she used to like to play, she used to play photo shoots when she was little, and she'd practice in my heels and whatever. The only thing I told her is, because I feel like what's been missing on the runway is like a lot of designers like the girls just to walk out and they literally, they're blank. There's no personality. The walk is like very robotic. I think people want to see like a girl, like a real person, and you just act like you have on the best dress, and wouldn't you want to wear this? So that's the way we walked. And I feel like she might have listened, but I didn't tell her, like I didn't say, hold your shoulders back over, but she really brought her personality to the runway. And I think that's what people responded to.
Something that's actually really missing, I think, because you're right, it's become sort of the same stare, the same blank stare, the same kind of, the same walk. And what you know in a fashion show is the same thing you know at any great show, which is when something magical happens, all of a sudden 700 phones go up in the air like this. And that happened, I think, a few times. There was another moment when that happened, away from Kaya, and that was with you at Versace. If you guys didn't see this, then I don't think you were living for the last 2 weeks. But there was a great moment at Versace to celebrate Gianni Versace, Donatella celebrating her brother. Amazing, right? Yes. An acolyte in the audience. And that was the moment heard round the world. It left everyone with goosebumps. Can you walk us through all of that, how it happened, and then what the actual day was like, and then the moment?
So earlier this summer, I got a call. Would I be interested in doing this? And it's been 20 years since Gianni Versace's death. And so this was Donatella's tribute to her brother. And of course, I mean, I didn't even ask who else. I mean, I kind of had an idea who else they would be asking, but of course I wanted to be there for Donatella and for Gianni, because I was fortunate enough to get to work with him quite closely for many years. And then I started getting emails from like Claudia Schiffer and Carla Bruni. Are you doing this? Because everyone wanted to make sure everyone else was doing it. So we all checked in, and I kind of knew who was doing it. At the time, I didn't know Kaya would be doing Versace. And then she got booked for Versace, and I was like, I'm doing that too, by the way. She's like, wait, are we walking out together? I said, I don't want to walk next to you, honey. You go, I'll walk out with the other ladies that are closer to my age. So, did the fitting, and, it was like those iconic gold dresses that I had done a very similar dress in an ad, 20 years ago. Yeah. And so I loved my dress. And then we got to the show, and it was kind of a secret. So they kept us separate from all like the regular models that were in the show. We were in a different room, but it was so wonderful. Just connecting to these other women as, Claudia's got a couple kids, and Carla's the former first lady of France, and Naomi is Naomi, and who I love, but she's definitely Naomi. Yeah, she's just it's always like a buzz, but she's great at organizing people, and she's been wonderful to my daughter, and Helena Christensen, who's such a cool woman who lives here. So it was great. It was like a reunion, and even Guido and Pat McGrath, it was like the haired. Well, and then it was like that iconic, song, the George Michael song, but like a different cut of it, but still that nostalgic song. And everything was cool and laid back, and then we were backstage and we're laughing, and then all of a sudden it was 30 seconds till we knew it, and then we were all very nervous. And I'm like, you guys, we have done shows before, remember? But it's been a while. So we all got really nervous, and then the curtain came back, and the love really that I felt, really the audience went crazy. And so many of the people that were in that audience were in the audience 25 years ago. A lot of the faces had not changed. And I don't know, the whole runway, it got shut. Yeah, you couldn't, the runway all of a sudden got shut down, and we kind of got stopped halfway down. But it was such a moment. And Donatella was like, don't anyone cry. So we were all, but then right as we walked off, everyone got a little weepy. And then it was so cool, because I think it was really great for the young models to see that, the reason Gianni was all about empowering women. He loved strong and beautiful women, and he didn't think that just because you were beautiful and sexy, you couldn't also be powerful and strong. He loved that combination. And I thought, what a fitting tribute, really, because through Donatella celebrating him in this way with some of his muses, it was also saying to the 20-year-olds, you don't only have to be 20 to be a beautiful woman, a strong woman, a sexy woman. And I thought Gianni would have really loved that.
This may not be the transition that most people expect, but Donatella was actually also in charge of Versace's home campaigns back in the 90s. And so she worked on them with Richard Avedon and these sort of iconic home campaigns for their evocative line of bedding and tableware, and everything was all sort of at the behest of Donatella. Which brings me to the topic of Cindy is more than just, obviously, the most eloquent speaker, the most brilliant. And by the way, if you're not following her Instagram, she posts the best videos of House of Style, which is a show that should come back immediately, if not sooner. And you guys should all watch that immediately. But also, Donatella is interested in design, and so are you. So I had the great pleasure a couple of weeks ago of having the very, very handsome Randy Gerber in my office talking about design. And it is there's very few times in your career when you're sitting with someone who's in the public eye. And a lot of people come across our desks. And Elle Decor has always been about the best in architecture, interiors, and design, but also because of our very title, we have been able to cross over into fashion and lifestyle and jewelry quite easily because it's Elle. So, we have these people come across our desk. Randy sat there, and we started talking about design, and it became quite apparent very quickly how brilliant he was in design. I asked about your former house in Mexico, in Cabo, and I said, well, who designed it? And he said, this architect Ricardo Legarreta. So if people don't know who Ricardo Legarreta is, it's like saying Frank Gehry of Mexico. He was the most illustrious, the most famous, the most prolific architect in Mexico for the 90 years he was alive, and I think he designed your house at 89. So that's something, when he was 89. So that's a passion that the two of you share, and that is actually real. So I'd love you to talk a little bit about that crossover between your career in fashion, but also your passion for design.
There's a lot there because, but I think the thing that I just want to start with is saying is and it took me a while to really understand this myself. Style is style. You can't really separate your personal sense of style from how you live or what kind of music you listen to or how do you entertain people. And I think that that's one of the great things that comes as we get older, you become more comfortable and more knowledgeable and more confident in your style, whatever that is. So I've certainly evolved from, the very first decorating that I did was like buying new wallpaper for my bedroom when my sister went off to college.
Do you remember which wallpaper it was?
It was like some like a Laura Ashley type thing. Of course, duh. You even had to ask. And like the curtains and exactly. I know. And but what I did learn from that is I love the power that it felt like with creating your own environment, you know. And I think that's what home decor is like, it's you. What do you want to see when you wake up in the morning? What do you want to welcome you when you come home from a busy day? When people say, like, what's your style? I wouldn't say I really have a style. I think it depends where I am and how I want to live where I am. And also, I think for both Randy and I, it's like we want to keep evolving. Like, we don't want to do, exactly what we did in a new house. The first like house that I really did was a 1927 like hacienda style house in LA. It only had 2 owners, and I didn't want to go in and like just start gutting it and taking stuff out. I loved like the old bones, the old metal windows and everything. So it was just kind of to make it like that best version of that. And I did that with Michael. But then Randy and I bought a house, an apartment here in New York on 70th and Madison, and it was like a classic New York 7. And I did same thing. I didn't want to muck it up. It's like I want to honor like the integrity. The thing that I don't like, because I like a lot of different things, but what I don't like is when a house has been like done so many times, but like where you can't even tell what the original idea was. So at our lake house, it was like, we want Ralph Lauren, and that's why we worked with Alfredo on that house. Because it's like, to me, like those pictures you see in a Ralph, like we wanted everywhere you look to feel like you're in a Ralph Lauren ad. Whereas our house in Malibu, our idea there was we want to feel like we're on vacation even when we're home. So it was like we kept calling, the name of the project was I'm on Malibu. Like that was the inspiration.
Gerber.
Yeah. But that house we recently just renovated. I mean, just did we've been in it 12 years, and your life changes, and kids and dogs. Some of the fabrics were really suffering. So then we just kind of lightened it up too, just because, again, I liked, we want to keep moving forward.
Well, I think what I've always seen in your designs and what you have is really vernacular architecture, that a Malibu house looks like a Malibu house, that a New York apartment looks like a New York apartment, that an Ontario lake house looks like that. And that's really something that appeals to me as well.
But it's funny because our friends say that when you come in, they're like, even our house in Cabo that was, Ligaretta, they're like, it still feels like you guys more than it feels like you. It's not like it's such a literal version of whatever that is, that it loses our fingerprints.
Your new campaign with Solistone is with the Eternal series, but it's all about sort of timeless beauty and design. I'm wondering, do you have a favorite color from the collection? A little rapid fire here.
Yes. What was surprising for me was how much I liked, because I right now we have a white kitchen in our main house, Malibu house, and the Marquina. I was like, it feels great.
I know.
It's really pretty, and it's like that one statement piece. Like you can have like everything else on, like that's, and then to have like, this is a wow.
Yeah, totally.
I think you've got.
Oh, thank you.
Got a statement. Look,
that means a lot. It means my whole life just got made just now. Thank you.
So I actually, ever since I saw this, I'm like, and I actually showed it to Randy. I was like, we got to figure out a cool way to use. I've never used this dark of the stone before,
totally.
And I think it looks really beautiful, and the stone, and it feels great, and it's also super durable, and those are the things I care about, because I'm like, if you can't put a lemon on it, don't put it in my house, please.
Seriously.
I did have that once, and then it doesn't look good. It's like you have this new house, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, please don't put that lemon down there.
No, it looks good a year from now,
Yeah,
and then 10 years from now, which I think is important. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. This was great.